This caught on to my attention on my feed, and the first line was like curious because, to be honest, Wake Wilder, I don't know who he is, on creators who is still associated with Asmongold. So I think to myself, like, associate, like, talk about him or, like, make content with him. Like, I think he makes content with a guy that still plays WoW. The people that come to mind are, like, Emaru, who I believe are still friends. There's also Tectone, who I believe is in good terms. I don't know of anybody else that like has been on the same, like, in the same video as him lately, because it's been mostly him by himself, working by himself, and he's been. I guess he talks to everyone in the background. I don't know, but he has a opinion about people who associate with Asmon, so it might be good. I don't know.
I think that it's very difficult to have any tether to someone with the degree of, like, political influence. Like, the cultural and political influence of Asmongold has become so enormous and so, like, publicly synonymous with the dismantling of good faith discourse in online spaces that
Dismantling of good faith discourse.
It's very difficult to not have that friendship color what you go on to omit.
What? How does that? What does that make sense? How does that make sense?
I think the reason why people don't care about whether or not someone like Tyler One or like Clint Stevens or fucking, Squeaks, I think the reason why people probably might not like constantly pry, press, or attempt to get positions out of them is because their affiliations don't suggest a sort of permissive attitude towards certain ideologies.
What?
And so it's a difficult thing to have a public friendship with someone who is now become synonymous with, like, alt-right vitriol.
What is...
And, like, to then not take a stance is probably where people are taking that issue, right?
Wait, what? I don't actually know what kind... Like, shit, even Bagel said, who are we talking about? Like, what is this language? Like, wait, what?
I think that it's very difficult to have any tether to someone with the degree of, like, political influence. Like, the cultural and political influence of Asmongold has become so enormous and so, like...
I mean, I guess, in a way, it makes sense to where, like, being associated with anybody with their public, like, political beliefs is definitely... It can paint what side of the line you are, even without your permission. Like, sure, Tectone has said some things about politics. Asmongold has been very vocal about politics, leaning one way or the other. But what kind of good faith, like, dismantling are you, like, talking about, dude? Because when he talks about people like when Asmon talks about Hassan is a in bad faith. He speaks with an in bad faith, in my understanding, because like he like the current thing that he's known for is like Collargate, because Collargate has been a whole thing to where he shocked his dog and then is in total like joking behavior to where he likes being known as the Collargate guy versus the guy who said we deserve 9/11. Like, this is the same Asmongold who is like talking about the injustice that like Denims does when she goes on smear campaigns on everybody because they're not either orbiting Hassan or it's not in the same like belief, doesn't believe the same thing. Because my understanding is like Denims, Casey Tron, and another individual in bad faith streamed and stole content from Ethan Klein, and you're saying that we're talking about someone who dismantles good faith. How is I don't know where his opinion is coming from, but I checked. But like, let's look at the quotes real quick. The comments real quick. This speaks a lot. Wait, people. Perhaps the cultural political influence of Asmon is so enormous because his takes are normative mainstream positions. Basically, become litmus tests to determine if someone is very grounded or in actual reality. This speaks a lot to the reality in which leftists resides, where they make widely baseless comments about him. Perhaps, well, I see where I told a friend of mine that I watch Asmon for some of his takes, and his first instance is, for whatever reason, his first instance when I talked about Asmongold is like, wait, the guy who used a dead rat as an alarm clock, or a rotting rat as an alarm clock, like that was his takeaway. But like, I had to explain to him that like I watch Asmon for some of the hot takes here or there. I listened to him on his opinions about games, especially when he roasted like Veilguard. Me and my buddy had strong questions about Veilguard, and like it's the whole push on like a woke agenda that is like identity politics that I didn't need in my game, and the framing of these identity politics didn't make sense within the logic of this like Arthurian mixed with magic medieval game. Like, in what instance does a fantasy RPG game where it's set it's set in Arthurian times? Why would someone who is casting magic within Arthurian times, speaking with other creatures that are humanoid, talk about non-binary or pronouns? How does that make sense in that setting, when the setting takes place in a world where dragons exist? The dragons are bad to fight, but then the character sits at the table and then, without prompt, yells out, "I'm non-binary," and then it almost kind of ruins the scene where the character is making it about themselves, and they want the attention on them because they want someone to talk to them about their identity and to validate their identity. Like, I decided I'm non-binary, when the conversation could have came up naturally. I don't know how you would write it naturally. Maybe if you increased the wage of some writers, you can actually get a cohesive way to bring up a person's identity, rather than the characters sit down at the dinner table, they're just eating, and then randomly like looking left, looking right, like they're holding in a fart, and then finally let out saying that they're non-binary without any context. A fart has more context than enunciating your identity, when or the fact of like you mispronouncing someone and then immediately doing push-ups for it. Is that the kind of Asmon we're talking about? But like, again, like, it's widely baseless comments about it. It's really wild too. Anyways, I was going on a tangent. Perhaps if the leftists didn't have such a black and white view, us versus them mentality, they would realize that they agree with Asmon more than they disagree. However, their own purity tests, which they constantly fail, won't allow it. Which is like fairly true, because it's a situation where it's really crazy that there's so much discourse that's currently going on, and I'm on the firm belief that there's not enough people asking. There's more people making statements than asking questions. And I say that because if you constantly ask questions and try to clarify answers, you're getting a better picture of the whole thing versus making statements to where you've settled within your purview, and if you don't match the other person's purview, then you're going to deflect. It's going to be black and white because you refuse to ask questions and you continually make statements. A statement indicates a black and white yes or no answer. A question leaves room for conversation. But like again, it's really weird. Create an echo chamber. It's not litmus test. Grossly incorrect. What do you mean they find him funny and laugh at his nonsense? I mean, if that's how you feel, then shit. What are the quotes? We should... we should exile creators based on Hitler particular cooties. Is Wake Wilder? I like the fact that Mizkif himself is being really weird as it is. Mizkif is on a campaign to like argue against the assaults and like abuse that Emru has experienced, and his defense was allegedly one time when Emru like threw a plushie at him, and Mizkif has been proven to be like a false like narrator. Mizkif, if that's your associated group, then we should probably not listen to you two either, huh? Hold on, wait, what?
Seeing Wake go after... I'm not gonna...
Tectone reacts to Wake Wilder's take on Asmon becoming synonymous of dismantling. Seeing Wake go after Asmon, that fucked me up. I'm gonna forget whatever this new version is, and I'm going to forget. You gonna forget? Okay.
Lie, bro. Seeing Wake go after Asmon? Bro. That shit was like... That shit fucked me up, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Cause like, dude, I have a lot of respect for Wake. In case you guys don't know, I mean, Wake, credited me a lot to the success of his channel.
That's nice.
I don't know, man. Wake's a guy where no matter what he does, even if that guy hates me, I don't care. Right? But, I don't know, bro. There's way too many people acting like Asmon's like a piece of shit. It's so annoying, bro. It really is, because we all know he's a good guy. Wake talks shit on you too, it sucks. Dude, I don't give a fuck. Dude, I don't give a fuck.
The fact that Wake would say shit about Asmon and Tectone, and he doesn't even have the energy to care. If someone says shit about you and you don't have energy to like really care about it, that says something.
Fuck what Wake calls me. He can call me whatever the fuck he wants. Because at the end of the day, that Wake doesn't exist to me. The Wake that exists to me is a guy who helped me lose weight, who changed my life for the better, and who really comforted me during some dark times. I'm gonna forget whatever this new version is, and I'm gonna forgive him. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Let's see, Tectone very solid take, good sir. But let's really look at the comments, because like it's even wild to see that like he's rocked by the idea that Wake is as being weird.
Seeing Wake go after Asmon, bro.
Still think she. Okay.
That shit was like. That shit.
Is this? I wonder if this is talking about like, I don't know if this is talking about Emeru or him himself, but people who don't speak out against their abusers allow that abuser to continue to harm other people. It is disgusting behavior to turn a blind eye to it. Yeah, it sounds like a conversation about Mizkif. I think she needs to clarify she wasn't referring to you if she's your friend, but that's okay.
Fucked me up, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Cause like, dude, I have a lot of respect for Wake. In case you guys don't know, I mean, Wake, credited me a lot to the success of his channel. But I don't know, man. Wake's a guy where no matter what he does, even if that guy hates me, I don't care. Right?
Right.
Wake's a guy where no matter what he does, even if that guy hates me, I don't care. Right? But I don't know, bro. There's way too many people acting like Asmon's like a piece of shit. It's so annoying, bro. It really is, because we all know he's a good guy. Wake talks shit on you too. It sucks. Dude, I don't give a fuck. Dude, I don't give a fuck what Wake calls me. He can call me whatever the fuck he wants. Because at the end of the day, that Wake doesn't exist to me. The Wake that exists to me is a guy who helped me lose weight, who changed my life for the better.
Why are you calling Emmy like a loser? Because, I mean, oh yeah, that's right. It was a whole thing to where Emmy had to like explain herself about Ice or apologize about Ice. And the reality is, like, I don't think Emmy should apologize to people, because anytime you make an apology on your like own stance, that makes you then question your confidence in statements, if that makes sense. Like it ruins your confidence in your own train of thought, I wonder, because like if she has a strong opinion that she doesn't want politics within her streams, or like she's not confident to talk about politics, then people need to respect her opinion. Like, if you don't like it, then you don't like it, but you have to respect that she doesn't have the same opinion as you do. And if you want creators to echo your opinion, then you need to find those creators that echo your opinion. Otherwise, you can easily filter your feed of people who don't share the opinion.
And who really comforted me during some dark times. I'm gonna forget.
Base AF, I was repeatedly attacked in the workplace by backstabbing women who were mad I was achieving more. Okay. Woke Wilder, Shannon, Cheerios.
Whatever this new version is, and I'm gonna forgive him.
Like, it's wild that there's a good chance that Wake Wilder is making these opinions because he wants to be on the right side of history. And again, I'm just a tourist to all these like dramas and situations, but it's wild for me to see that Wake Wilder is making a stab at Asmon when there's this guy, there's Techdown, who's like arguing the his opinion, and it's who's on the argumentative side. It's wild. All that thing is, all of that gobbledygook to essentially say Asmon has cooties, you too if you're cool with him. But it's really crazy to where like it's wild to where you people are to think that just because you like somebody, you're also infectious. Like that means. So you're telling me that just because I have certain opinions of Asmon that I like, that means I also believe in the extremes that he says. That is wild. That is crazy. See anything else? If you hang out with a bunch of questionable people, you're gonna get questioned if you are like them or an enabler. Wake used Tyler 1 as an example as someone who doesn't get questioned, but remember when Michaela was spreading transphobic rhetoric to the point he had? Yeah, that's interesting. Mental gymnastics and projection. Blames Asmon for the bad faith discourse online. Attacks those that doesn't disclose their opinion. Yeah, like why would you attack somebody when they don't disclose their opinion? Like that's a wild thing to do. Like, I don't know, what are you doing other than trying to be on the right side of history? That's all I'm hearing from this. That is actually pretty wild. But yeah, that was all. I'm just a tourist, but that's on my feed. Like, this caught my attention, and this is like crazy to hear, like, all of that. It's that's so crazy. That is exactly a good representation of what's happening. Someone trying to hear both sides. The person who's trying to hear both sides gets attacked. One person asking, "Hey, yo, you okay?" And that interaction automatically, like, poisons you. That's wild. Oh, heaven forbid you be friends with people that you disagree with politically. People used to do this all the time. It's perfectly normal. People have political brain rot. That's extremely true. Like, before the internet was the internet, discussions were much easier to have, and it's wild to see how things like this just easily change on like a dime. It's wild, but that's, what would I know, right?